Hello, this is Chris from Optinet, and in this video we're going to have a look at the business intelligence functionality of Flex. You might find you don't have full access to this. It's often a role-based restriction which only practice managers and or directors would normally have access to. If you do need to get access to anything we're looking at which you can't see in this section, then please ask your Practice Flex expert. This isn't generally something which the Optinet support team would do for you without prior consent from whoever the relevant party might be. So what we're going to do is log into Flex and we're going to click onto Business Intelligence. That makes its own little menu, and the options in here, again, slightly varied depending on your role in the practice. What we're going to start with are the general reports. So it's on the reporting tab, which is what's appeared straight away as soon as I've clicked into Flex. I call these the black and white reports. They're the ones which are useful to export or print to send to perhaps your accountant or the relevant parties to see things like all of your payments, your sales, and other useful information for the date range which we're going to select now. So lots of different reports available in here. They all pretty much do what they say on the tin, but generally speaking, if you hover over the name of them, it will give you a little bit more information. Very common ones to run, for example, might be a payments report, and again, it will allude to what it's actually going to do. And for all the reports, there'll be different criteria which we can select. The date range we can choose on all of the reports to be today, this week, month, year, etc. And you can flick between the weeks, months, years too. The quarters mapped around your business year. You can set the financial year start date in your branch setup, or just the year to date, financial year to date, that is, not calendar year. So what we can do here is choose a report, and depending on that report, you might see different options per example. So discounts, for example, it's got the date range, which all of them do, and you can choose which branch you want to run for if you're a multiple branch setup. Looking at payments, for example, then it's showing all of the payment types which are included by default. So the criteria do vary per report. So for example, if I wanted to run a payments report for Malvern, I'm going to just flick this back to 2019. When we press the green Go button, some of the reports, not all, will ask if you want a summary or a detailed. On this payment example, a summary is purely cash, X amount, check, Y amount, card, Z amount, but the detailed will actually give a full breakdown per patient. So let's just have a quick look at the summary on my training example here. What that'll do is open up a report, and again, like I've alluded to, it's just showing the amount of each different payment method. With all of these reports, you can then go through and print them. But also you might find it useful to export them out, or again, you may just be wishing to have a look at this information on screen. Popular reports to run would be the balance reports, so you can see your current debtors list, useful one at the financial year end. Petty cash reports can be useful to look back through, refunds. Sales by group, one of the most common ones to run is the payments by group, so that looks at all of the monies that you've taken. And then it's looking at all of the relevant VAT departments for those. So lots of different reports which you can run. Different practices will want and need different things, but do have a look through, and you can drop us a ticket through the portal if there's anything which we can assist with there. Where the reports really come into themselves, in my opinion, is in dashboards, and these are more of a graphical overview of how you're doing. I'm going to go backwards through a patient journey here. So I've just clicked onto the till summary, and for the years in question, which I can toggle through, or the days, weeks, months, just like we've seen in the reporting section, it's just a nice graphical overview of what we're doing. We can see here things like your average patient spend, the actual sales for the period versus payments taken. Then it can break it down, so you can see the percentage of your work that's NHS vouchers, for example, a benchmark in my experience being around 20%, where the money's actually coming in, and how all of these compare to the previous period of the previous year. So be it this whole year we're looking at, or for example, if we're looking to run it month to month, we can go back and see everything on the system there. Under dispenses, what we can see here, and again, this is just demonstration data, so please don't read too much into the actual figures here. What we can see is an overview of how the practice is doing with dispensing. So we can see the average conversion value here, the dispensing value, my apologies. We can see the number of patients dispensed, how many pairs they end up getting. So this was an interesting year on my example. Only saw 8 patients and I had 6 pairs each nearly. But what we can see here is the dispensing value and a couple of other useful KPIs. For example, the vision types, so the single vision, bifocal, progressives, the amount of lens to owns, and actually where the money's coming in for that work as well. All of these are shown for the practice, but if I just click on Optinet staff member as example, all of those graphs will adjust and update for the actual staff member which we're looking at, and we can see the most popular lenses HDO has actually dispensed. There's also remakes, not a huge amount of data in this. It's just looking at the amount of remakes that have gone through the dispensing module and any reasons put in why. Generally things, example for non-tolerance, etc. As we continue to go backwards through the patient journey, the Optoms don't escape the clutches of analysis either. What we can see in here is our clinical dashboard. So we're looking here, number of patients tested, and all of these different figures here will tell you, they'll tell you what they are if you hover over them. So looking, for example, dispensed exam rate, that's the percentage of patients with confirmed dispense on the same day as their site exam. Again, I'm just using some demonstration data here. So if your dispense rate isn't 375%, please don't feel too bad. But what we could see here, for example, is the actual exam rate, which is quite a useful one to look at. Generally, that's always going to be 5 to 10% higher than the dispense rate proper because it's patients who've come back within 30 days of their site exam, 30 being the default there. We can see what the optometrists have been billing in the testing room for reference, or some practices use this as part of a bonus structure. And the site exam recommendations on the right-hand side, just more of a quantitative overview of how the Optoms are doing. And if you've had a real run on aspherics, you can see it's because Bob has been recommending those, for example. Looking at the appointment summary, then what we can see in this dashboard here are the most popular appointment reasons, your appointment success rate, who the most popular staff are for appointments, why they're coming, people coming back through the door. All of this information gleaned when appointments are first booked in. One area that some practices have a blank on here is the return reasons. Perhaps motivation is a better word than returning. But when you're booking in a patient for an appointment, make sure you're asking what's actually brought them through the door that day. So a text message, a letter, maybe they've seen an advert on social media. I remember going through this on a practice on a training day once, and they asked the first person who came through the door, and the old boy said, how have you come into the practice? What's brought you into the practice today? And he said, the bus. So yeah, not quite what we were intending, but still, you've got to smile, haven't you? Also in here, we can see the different utilisation of each clinic, so how many book slots you've got against free, so you can really see the utilisation of your clinics and help to make the most of the system here. Going back as well, if we look in patient summary, just a few demographics here around things like age and gender, and contact methods for the patients. You can see up in the top right hand corner, it's just creating that dashboard for us. And again, we can look back through and see different stats here. That no right and wrong for any of these really should be showing, but it's completely up to you and your motivation for getting this data out. We can go through and see, for example, the demographics of patients tested this year, how the gender splits changed over time, ages, etc. So plenty that you can do in here. Where it really can come into its own as well is on the data mining. So this is all about being able to drill down into your database and make the most of the system. You can generate your own searches here using what we call Discovery, or you can use our easy search function. But what I'd recommend is you head to popular searches. And in here, for all of the different inherent sections of Flex, we could choose a section. I'm going to choose till, and we can see all of the different reports here. So I'm going to just type in a keyword. I know that spend is a good one to see the patients who've been spending the most money. Just like the reports so far, we can set different parameters against that. But if I want to see, for example, the top 10 patients who I've seen in the last 3 years, again, taking this with a pinch of salt on my demonstration data, which has been just put together for this video, then what I can see are the most popular patients on the system. I'm the top one there, and we can actually see how much they've spent in the last 3 years. God, I have done well. And you can see the date they were all last in as well. So lots of different searches to run, just showing you a couple of quick, good examples. Under dispensing, unconfirmed dispenses I quite like. What that shows is the number of patients you've actually had for a conversation in the dispensing room, the dispensing chair I should say, but they haven't actually converted. So they say, oh, I'll come in with my wife to choose my frames, or I've got more time tomorrow. You can get a whole list of patients who are a warm lead, if you like, who haven't quite converted. I think it's always interesting to see your active patient totals. Again, not necessarily a good or a bad figure to have on here, but what I could see, for example, is any patients who've had a sight test or contact lens in the time that I'm going to specify. 36 months, 3 years is a fair assumption for an active patient, in my opinion. And it's actually showing us per branch here the percentages which we can consider active on the system. Probably on average, maybe 30 to 40% is the active patient database. It's just telling you really, for every patient you're seeing and testing, there's another 2 on your system who are inactive, and you can do obviously lots through data mining and marketing to help get those people back through the door. But lots of different sections on here And as you progress with Flex, when sites first go live, I always say, look, let's look at this in perhaps 1 to 3 months' time when you've got some more native data into Flex. If it is something which you're wanting to have a look through, then what you can do is visit our portal. You can find that through the blue question mark in Flex, or visiting our website, flexhelp.co.uk. You can raise a ticket through there and find out more about all of this information. And you've also got the ability to actually book a training session with myself or one of the training and installations team. So make sure you do check out all of these reports and much more. They're all available through Business Intelligence in Flex. Click onto there, and then you'll be able to get going there. As always, though, it's the data that it's showing is only ever as good as the data that's entered. So if you do need help just more with the prevention, the cure, looking at how we can clean up and make sure the data is the best it can be, from appointment reasons to returning reasons to dispensing analysis information, then like I said, don't be a stranger. Do let us know if there's anything else which we can do to help you. Just to demonstrate that portal which I mentioned, if you click on the blue question mark in Flex, that'll open up the online help system. And in here, there are an absolute wealth of pages and information where you can find more information. Just showing you as an example to be able to book a training slot online. If I click on book slot online, then what we can do is you can choose the type of call you want to do. So if you want an existing user training session, you can choose the day that you want to book in a session for. It'll show all the available times for that day. And then I can just get you to put in your basic information and as much information of what you want to go through as is possible, please. So we're exceptionally proud of the customer service element of what we do here at Optinet, and we've made some big changes and improvements over the years with being able to track and raise tickets online. Book training, the YouTube channel's got about 6 hours worth of content on there now. Thank you, by the way, for already brilliant feedback around that. But if there is anything else we can do, then please do let us know by visiting our website, raising a ticket, or you can still call us in office hours as well, 0800 310 2400. And the best of luck with maximising business intelligence and your usage of Flex.